Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Full Place Friends. I'm Kelsey.
Hey everyone, you got Penny here, and in this week's episode, we're titling it Anatomy of a Stare. So we're going to talk about different types of stares that we encounter with somebody with a facial difference, how we deal with it, how it impacts us on the regular, and all that fun stuff. This is going to be one of those heavy / funnier kind of topics. So if we missed anything, any questions about anything that we've talked about once you listened or watched, please feel free to leave a comment in the description box below. Follow us on social media. Again, all the links will always be in the description box below. So I guess we'll just jump right into it, as Philip DeFranco would say. So I'm sure people watching, listening, if you've had really, one of the weird haircuts in the 80s or, worn an outfit that was a bit different, I'm sure you've had a stare or two. Most people have been in a situation where they've encountered a stranger and the stranger has looked at them, whether it's a female being stared at for horrible reasons, or a guy because maybe you have too many tattoos or whatever. For the most part, I would say almost everybody has been stared at least once. When it's constant, so when it's every time we go out, I think Kelsey and I can say we might have different take on the situation and different views about that. So I took the liberty of writing down a couple of different types of stares that I think that we get, and I figured we can talk about our experiences with each one, how we feel about them, and maybe we'll think of a couple others that I didn't think of. So the first one I wrote down was like the quick glances. So what are your experiences with the quick glances?
I think just like when you walk by someone, just when you're like out on the street, whatever, and you walk by and you notice them kind of do like a double take, or even like I noticed this like a couple days ago. I was out at like a fast food place, and I had ordered something, and I was just waiting for my order, and someone they brought me my drink, and they put it on the counter, and like I don't think they called it out, and I don't even think they like thought about it. They put it on the counter, and then they looked up and they saw me, and I could tell they did like a kind of like a double take kind of thing, and I could see like the wheels turning in their heads, and I was wearing a mask obviously because it's mandatory, so I feel like it's not, when I'm wearing a mask it covers like most of my face obviously, so you don't get like the full effect, I guess. But I guess she was still like, what? And she kind of did like a glance, and then she just kind of like stared at me and was like, "Here you go." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks, bye." So, but like people. The thing is, when people do this, I don't think they think that we notice.
Exactly.
But I know this. I know.
We're attuned. The quick glances, I think the environment that I can say that I get it most often is that type of situation where I'm stationarily standing somewhere and whether it be waiting for an order or waiting in line or waiting for the light to change, any kind of where I'm physically standing still for any period of time, and the people around me are suddenly realize there's something different in the vicinity, and they're trying not to be rude, even though they are. And they do the quick, like, I will say for the most part, as long as they don't go for the double take, which puts it beyond acceptable, I will say of all the ones I've written down, a quick glance is the least offensive.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's like...
Because I get the psychology. Your brain sees something. It's just like when you're looking at a lineup or colors, and there's one that has like a pattern, where all the others are solid, and there's one in the box that has dots or something. Your brain automatically is like, something that's not, like, that's different.
Yeah.
So I get the quick glances. They don't annoy me as much.
Right.
I'd be lying if I said it didn't annoy me, because they do. At the end of the day, they annoy me, but they're the ones I find the most easy to deal with. The ones where I don't continue to think about it later for hours or days.
Because, like, it's just like a quick glance, and then they're like, well, no, it's not like it's not that they don't care, but it obviously hasn't.
Their brain registered something that was different, but and they went about they were like, oh, okay, and then just kept
exactly. It didn't bother them. But like, I do that if I'm
exactly. And I think that's the most human.
Like, I like, if I'm walking down the road, or like, even if I'm in my car and driving and I see like a dog walk by, I literally do that. Like, oh my god, it's a dog! So like, you know, and it's not like, it's not malicious. Like,
I think
literally, it's like, oh my god, a dog! So I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Or for me, like when we had like a really, really hot weather, and I seen somebody wearing like a winter jacket and pants, and I'm like a quick glance, and I'm like, did I just see what I think I saw? Like, so it's the most, I don't want to say humane, but it's the one that I can tie to human psychology the most. It's the one that I do myself in situations where my brain sees something that is outside of normal, it's different. And it's the one that I can, I guess, forgive the easiest, because it makes it's the one that makes the most sense. Your brain registered something that was different. It's the next ones after that it can evolve into, like, and I think that's where we're gonna have some more discussion. So I guess the next one, and I'm just gonna go in the order that I've written them in. It's not in order of severity but it evolves into, it's just whatever one that came into my conscious. So the one, I guess, that I have the least patience for, and the one that makes me want to be violent the most, is the open gawk. It's they've done the quick glance, they've done the double take, which again, double takes depending on the linger, I'll forgive or not, and then they just flat out just stare with sometimes with their mouth open, sometimes not, but there's clear eye contact between you and the individual. You yourself being stared at are the most uncomfortable you could get, and you just want to find a way out of that situation, or you want to physically hurt the person doing it, or both. I would say for the most part, I get this more from kids right now, or of recently, than adults. But I'll just share one quick story. The weirdest open gawk that I've had from an adult was I was standing one at Tim Hortons. I think I was next in line, and this lady comes. So there's like a small partition wall. So you line up against the partition wall, and there are seats on the other side. So I was standing just kind of chilling, leaning on the wall, and the lady comes from what would be behind me and to my left, and comes, I would say, no less than 15 centimeters away from my face.
Oh my God.
It's probably the closest anybody has ever gotten to me. And if it had happened now, I probably would have punched her. But it was probably 10 plus years ago.
Oh.
And she literally just stood there and flat out stared, like, open God.
What?
And it was a good, I think I might have given her like 5 or 10 seconds for my brain to realize what was happening, process. And then I was like, can I help you? Like, I've never been that uncomfortable.
You say that?
Like, I've been stared at, got whatever, like, from a distance. But I'd never had it where it was that, like, literally up in my business, like, in my face. And, like, I love past judgment. I don't know if there is, like, a mental health component. And even then, that doesn't give anyone an excuse. But I was like, I still think about it and get mad. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so open box. Okay, not okay with. But yeah, that's my story with that. Like,
oh, yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't have like a specific. Well, I mean, it happens a lot, so I'm not, like, I can't think of just one.
It's usually from a distance.
Yeah,
like
and I mean, it's usually.
Or even right beside you. But it's
yeah, right.
15 seconds.
And it's usually, like, it's usually kids. It is. And, it happens, I'd say, like, probably every time I go out and I encounter, maybe not so much now because we have to wear masks, but I mean, every time I go out, and if there's like a kid, like if I'm in line or something and there's like a kid standing like in front of me, like they just like stand there and stare. I'm like, I'm like, you know what? Okay, if you are under the age of, I'll say under the age of like 2, then whatever. But I mean, at that point,
is it weird though? I don't get it from kids that are 2 or under. Like, my experience with the little ones is they don't understand, and generally they just wave and smile, and like they don't register yet. So I find it's like between 3 and up, or 5 and up, I think.
I say definitely 5. I say definitely 5 and up. If you're 5 years old, you have, I mean, and it's not, I will say it's not necessarily the kids' fault, I guess, but if your kid is over 5 years old, they are old enough to realize the consequences of their actions, or how their actions affect others, right? So, I mean, if your kid is 5, 6, 7 years old and they stand there and stare at someone and you say nothing, like,
believe me, I will.
Yeah, and this happened a couple weeks ago. I was at Superstore, which is like a commercial store in Canada. I don't know. Do you have Superstore in Ontario?
Yeah.
So I went to Superstore. I just got out of my car, And I walked to like the back of my car to open my thing trunk to get my bags, my like reusable bags. And this kid and her mom, I assume, walked by, and the, the kid said hi to me. And against my better judgment, I said hi. I mean, that makes me sound mean, but whatever. Like, so I said hi back, and they walked away, and just as they were walking away, I heard, I heard the kid go, she's like, "Mommy, she looks funny," or something like that, and I'm like, they like the mom didn't say anything, and and like and one more story. I was at work. Um, I used to work in like customer service, retail, like a couple years ago, and I never want to work customer service ever again. But that's a different story. I was at work and I was helping someone. Um, I assume it was family, and there was like a kid who was probably like, I'd say like 5 or 6, and they were paying for something, and she just kept saying over and over, "You look creepy," like over and over. And I kid you not, the parents or whoever the hell they were did not say a single thing. They said
Yeah, I love.
zero. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't stand for it. Like, again, it's generally kids. It's generally when I'm, just trying to get shit done, and I just have to deal with it, whether I'm in line or I'm walking, and the kid just follows you, not physically usually, although
Oh,
sometimes
they
they
do that though, sometimes.
do, which is another weird thing. And then they'll just stand there and just stare at you. And
Yep.
I
Yeah.
if I know that it's like, generally if I'm with like my sister or a friend, I'll generally position myself so that my friend or my sister is in between me and whoever is staring. Um, if I'm not with somebody, then it's debatable whether I just stand there cringing internally,
Uh,
leave. Sometimes I've done that where I haven't completed what I set out to do. I just can't. I don't have the mental
yeah.
uh, um, the mental fortitude that day to just deal with it. Or I'll say something. Generally, like, "Can I help you?" or
Can I help
"Go
you?
fuck off."
That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's usually "Can I help you?" If I'm really bad day, it's "fuck off." Um, but yeah, like I don't talk. They don't talk. They don't say anything. They just,
Huh.
or I can't drive legally, so I take public transit. So if I'm on the bus, and I can't get away from it. Like I have to endure it. Like, so I just usually have headphones on, and I just put
Yeah.
the music on as loud as it will go, and just stare at my phone, or close my eyes, or just stare at the window. It doesn't stop them. They're still staring. Like,
Yeah.
there's literally nothing I can do. Like, I literally have to endure it for the time that I'm on the bus or they get off. And when they do, if they get off first, then it's like a literal weight off my shoulders where I
Yeah.
can just, I
Yeah.
can relax.
Yeah. I
Just,
100%. I know what you mean, like 100%. And also like in that instance, like with like public transit or I was on a plane to, I think, New York. I think I was on a flight to New York, and there was a kid in the row in front of me, and they kept standing on their seat and like staring over the back of the seat, like
You
just
just
like
stare.
staring.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
I had
a
something.
this is a
Something. Yeah.
yeah, no, this is a like 4.5. No, it's more than that. It's like a 5-hour flight. I do not like, and it makes me feel so uncomfortable. And then they just like stare on the seat, like, like, are you kidding me? Like, sit the fuck down. Like, anyway, it makes me so, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And
I was at a Blue Jay game 2 years ago now. 2 or 3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And I was with a couple of friends, and there was a parents and 2 kids, I guess, and it was a son and a daughter. The daughter did like the quick glance or whatever, registered that I looked different, and then that was it. I didn't see hide nor hair of her for. I think she probably did a couple other little glances here and there, but whatever.
yeah,
The other kid was made a point of pretty much the whole game. Wasn't watching the game. Like, I don't know how long a baseball game is usually, but it was literally hours where he would pretend to watch the game for a little bit and then turn around in his seat and stare at me. And it got to the point where my friend had to, like, she got so frustrated that she ended up intervening and told that kid that if he turned around one more time, that that kid was going to regret it.
oh my
And
god, that's awesome.
yeah, like, so it's when you're in a confined
Awesome.
space where you can't get out, whether it's a plane, a baseball game, whether you're in line, um, where the open gawk, I think, is the most prevalent and the most cringeworthy and the most uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
it's
And I also
oh,
I notice like when I'm on, I mean, I don't really take public transit that often, but when I'm out, like anywhere, and you know what, I was at Starbucks, a couple weeks ago now, sitting outside on the patio thingy, and there was this group of kids. They were probably like 14, 15, 16, and I mean, it's like younger kids and teenagers who are the worst. So these kids like kept finding a reason to like to um come like to
yeah,
basically stare. And
finding a reason. Yep.
yeah, and like I just I, I I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, give a life, and
Yeah.
um, and they're like just like congregating around Starbucks, and like,
And you know they talked about you after.
well, yeah, always, yeah, and like and like if they just, and the thing is, if they were like not, if they were by themselves, then it probably wouldn't have been an issue. But since they were in a group, it's like,
Group mentality.
oh, this is hilarious, you know, like.
Yeah, group mentality is a fickle thing. All right, so I guess that leads me to the next one, which I will say probably hasn't happened a ton to me or for me or that I've noticed. Is like the over the book or newspaper. So generally, again, it's more in a casual setting where you're like a coffee shop or something like that, and you're sitting either by yourself or whatever, and the older generation, I'll say, is generally the one that does this. I find the most often when it does happen.
Yeah.
And again, they've registered. It's it's not unusual. You hear some rustling, like you're busy in your thing. You hear something going on around you, and you take a look. And you're like, oh, okay, and then you go back to whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
But that's almost like a quick glance. but then you find that they just keep doing it. Like you notice that they keep looking over their book or their paper or whatever. So, but yeah, so they don't have, like I said, I don't go out much, so I don't notice it
I
too
haven't really
much.
noticed that. Not that it probably happens. I just don't tend to notice, I guess.
I guess for me, it's just when I used to go to Tim Hortons with my mom before her stroke and stuff, and before we moved to this house, I should say, it happened more frequently there because it was an older demographic that would just hang out at the coffee shop. So
Classic.
that would be like the older generation. And then like the side glances, I guess it's similar to the quick glance. It's different, and
Yeah.
I would say this one's the most common that almost everybody has experienced, the side glance. Like, you're just minding your own business, and somebody thinks that you're infringing on their
Yep.
personal bubble or something,
Yep.
and they give you like the side eye
Yep.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that one definitely they're trying to hide the fact that they're doing it, and they think that they're being more subtle, but you can't. Like, we know.
Yeah. It's not hard to notice. You're not being sneaky.
No. I guess the last one that I had for my list is the suspect glance, because I think being how we are and for as long as we have been, it's something that we're so hyper aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That sometimes I think I'm being stared at.
Yep.
So like the suspect, and maybe I'm not. So I like question it.
Yep.
Yep.
Or it's like when people are talking, and you hear them like laughing or whatever, and maybe like you see them look your way or something, you just assume that they're talking about you. I many times, or like if they are on their phone and if they like hold their phone up like this, and you assume that they're like taking your photo or something. Yeah, like that's.
I think that's the one thing. I know a lot of people with facial differences or disability community in general and this might be because I'm visually impaired and hard of hearing. I don't know if I know anybody that's actually taken my picture. I'm sure they have. It's creepy to think about and weird. Like, what are you doing with that picture?
Yeah.
Seriously, what are you doing with it? But yeah, like it's not. It's very suspect and very shady. But I don't know. I think why I wanted to talk about this subject mostly is toll that it takes on our mental health and our psyche and our well-being and everything like that. I talked about earlier, like the quick glance or something that I don't say get over, but it's one that I can like just shrug off as easy. Like it doesn't stay with me. It's not something I continuously think about. All of the other ones that we talked about so far today are ones that do linger, that have a lasting impression and have a cumulative effect on somebody's mental health. I don't know if I have PTSD. It's not something that I've ever talked to a professional about, not something that I've explored. It wouldn't surprise me if I did, because it is something that I continuously think about, and then that I have to think about when I go out. Like, am I okay today if it happens, and when I'm out in public, am I okay to deal with it in a healthy and safe manner, or am I not? And do I have to just go out anyway because I don't have a choice? So I think more than so far any of the other subjects that we talked about, I hope that a lot of people watch and listen and realize and maybe recognize when they have done it. I
Yeah.
find for me personally, I'm not a people watcher like my mom was and probably still is. And I have a really great friend that she self admits she's a people watcher, and I don't think there's necessarily any harm in it. But I know from a personal perspective, I'm not a people watcher. I think one thing that this has done to me is I literally walk with my head down. Like when
Mhm.
I go out
Yeah.
to wherever I'm going, I walk with my head down. Like I don't look up. I'm not aware of what's going on other than the sidewalk in front of me. Um, because
Yes.
I don't want to subconsciously deal with it. It's not something I think I was aware of. One of my friends said her husband or fiance had seen me out, and I wasn't aware. He was driving in his truck or whatever, and he had mentioned to her that he noticed that I was walking with my head down, and I don't know if I was consciously aware of it prior to it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is something that I do,
Yeah.
and it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I do the same thing, especially if I see, like, if I'm, like, in a store or something and I see a kid, I know the interaction that can happen if they, like, see me. So I just, like, stand at the, and don't make eye contact, like, just stand at the floor, and they don't notice most of the time. Um, and I will say to the mental health aspect, so in 2009, I was in grade 12, like so like in high school, and someone, I don't know if you know, um, it was a social media site back in back in the day called Metsopia. I
Oh
spent a
yeah, yeah.
lot of time on Metsopia. But it was kind of like MySpace in a way. But anyway, so, but someone, I mean, this was 11 years ago, and to this day, I don't know exactly who it was. I have an idea, but I haven't said no.
Yeah.
They, like, they took photos, on my Facebook, um, from my like personal Facebook, and they made this completely slanderous like fake profile about me on Metsopia, and I mean that was I've been diagnosed clinically with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And I can almost guarantee you that my OCD stems from that incident. I almost guarantee it. I after that happened, I would sit literally for hours. So on Metropia, there was like you could go to like it would show you like new members or whatever, or people that just joined. I would sit there for hours going through all these new accounts to see, like, to make sure that they had not created another account about me or whatever. Um, and I deactivated my Facebook. I think that was the only social media I had at the time. Um, and then after that, all of my pictures were sent. I had like a friends list, and I don't know if you can still do this on Facebook, but you can make friends lists, and then only those people can see your like posts or
Yeah, I think
whatever.
you can.
So I made a list of the people. There was probably like 10 to 15 people who I trusted enough um to have them see what I posted and see photos and stuff. And I like deleted all my photos. I made them all like so that only I could see them. Um and one of my friends like made fun of me and she was like, "You're so paranoid," like nah nah nah, and like no. So anyway, so like um and now like I mean now I don't do that as much on Facebook. Well, I don't do it at all on Facebook. It's whoever is on my friends list. It's like all of my posts are set to friends. So whoever I have on my friends list can see like what I post. And but I mean for years I just like was very selective about who I let see anything, and
Mhm.
it like yeah. Anyway, so I guarantee that my OCD stemmed from that one incident, and like
That's,
back in the day, um, like cyberbullying and like there weren't really any laws around it. It wasn't, I guess, technically illegal. But I wish now that I had gone to the police and made a police report. Like I wish I had done that, but I didn't. So, but I mean, it was so like stuff like that is absolutely it's like a trauma. It's traumatic, and it's something that will stay with me. I guarantee you that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And the person who did they even remember doing it? Like probably not.
no, no.
So
I've when I was younger, my mom, and again, I no ill will towards her. I love her, but as a way to avoid being stared at, she would used to tell me to walk behind her and put my head like walk down, like don't like that was probably where that originated for me. And I, to your point with the social media, I'm not, I'm, I frequently will search for memes and stuff like that because I know other people who have been, like their images have been
yeah,
co-opted
100%.
for that.
Yeah.
So I'm, I look frequently to make sure that my picture hasn't been used in any horrible manner, and I like go through my brain like what would I do if I found one,
Yeah.
and like all that stuff plays out, and stuff like that. Like a lot of my mental energy for a lot of my day sometimes is spent dealing with the fact that I look different, and it's not, a lot of people have said just ignore it, or just, it's their problem, and all of that, like that, and like that's not helpful.
No,
Um,
no,
and
no, it's not.
and I think I'm glad that I'm an adult now, because if I had to do my life over again now, in the age of social
Oh
media,
my god.
I I one, I probably wouldn't start social media, um, because that's probably a thing that probably would help me the most. But then, like, I'm losing out on that. Oh, it's a like whatever. Like social media isn't everything, but it is something. And to not be able to participate in it
Yeah.
solely because people are a-holes
Yeah.
is
It's
it's
unfair.
yeah, it sucks. So
That's not.
I wouldn't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
As I said, I probably wouldn't have social media if I was a kid. And you hear about kids being bullied
Yeah.
for other reasons, and they take it too far, and it's all on social media. And I didn't have the support when I was a kid that I do now. I had the support in terms of I could turn it off. Like once I was home, I was home. It didn't come home with me. Like I didn't other unless we went out, then it did. But home was still home. Home was still my safe haven. I was still Penny. Crystal, I still have my sister Crystal. My mom was my mom, and I didn't deal with any of that outside of the home
Right.
in terms of like that. It wouldn't be the same today. Like if I had social media and I was a kid, I would have to deal with my classmates or other kids being assholes that they are, and I, I don't like I know how I would deal with it, and it wouldn't be healthy. Not that I'm probably dealing with it healthy now, but
Well, same. But no, I mean, when I didn't have social media, and like no one that I knew really had social media until I think I got Facebook in 2007. I mean, I didn't really use it, but I think I got Facebook in 2007. So I was like in grade 10 or 11. But before that, I mean, we had Metzovia in middle school, but I mean, that wasn't really an issue. And like MySpace and stuff, but I mean, we didn't have Instagram or Snapchat or any of these like
yeah,
any of these things that kids use to make fun of others, like bully others. And if I was a kid now, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I can't imagine having and like kids like 7-year-old kids have cell phones and social media and like I don't think that they really understand the harm that can come from social media, and I don't want to. I still understand how even like a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, you should not have your own phone where you can connect to the internet and do whatever you want, talk to whoever you want. Like
yeah.
it's dangerous out there, and I just these like young kids have access to all of this now, and it's yeah, I can't imagine. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was like 16. No,
Oh,
probably 17.
yeah, I don't remember how old I was when I got mine, but it was probably closer to adulthood.
And I didn't have internet,
Just because,
so
just because I'm about 10 years older than you, so everything was.
right, yeah.
I definitely didn't have social. I didn't have Facebook until probably about 2007 as well.
Yeah.
I was an early adopter to
Yeah,
Twitter. Like Twitter was my first foray into social media, and I still much prefer Twitter to Facebook.
yeah.
But yeah, so were there any other types of stairs or anything else that I didn't think of that you wanted to quickly chat about? Did I get them all? Like there's some.
I think you got them all. I mean, I would like I said the cell phone thing. I can is that when there's a group of especially teenagers when they sit there and um they are like holding up their phones like this and they're like laughing or whatever. I don't know what they're doing, obviously, but I like just assume that they're like
The
laughing.
suspect.
Yeah,
They're very
exactly.
suspect.
They're suspect. But other than that, I think like that is that's basically it. That is what we deal with every single day. So
Exactly. So I think, like I said a little bit earlier, guys, is we want you to understand that looking at anybody, whether it's somebody with a facial difference, somebody with tattoos, somebody with purple mohawk on the top of their head, they're very much aware that they are outside of what you're expecting to see. But we're hoping we change that so that every difference is accepted and seen, even if you haven't seen it. Knowing that, yes, psychology dictates that when you see something different, you are going to be like, oh, your brain's going to tell you that's different. And we all know that. We all do that. That's human nature. What we ask is that we educate ourselves about differences so that we limit the double takes, the gawks, all of the other types of uncomfortable stares and interactions that those of us with differences have to go through, so that we don't have to. We shouldn't have to endure your open face gawk. It's just not a thing that I should have to deal with or worry about when I step outside the door. I'm going to get groceries. Like, I'm going to get ice cream.
Exactly.
I'm not here to entertain the fact that I'm different to you. That's on you, not me. But
yeah, exactly. Like, move along and just like mind your own business. I mean, like,
at the end of the day, mind your own business. That's the best way to put it.
I mean, I can't imagine like just like openly staring at someone. You know what I mean? Like,
never done it.
No, never done it.
I would like to think, even if I didn't have a facial difference, I wouldn't. I like to think that I'd still be almost the same person, a different version of myself, but still me, who is a kind, gentle person who's not an asshole. Unless you make me be one.
Right.
I can be one, no problem.
But I think,
I don't stare.
No, but I think having a facial difference and having to live that experience, you just have more like understanding and empathy and compassion, because you know what it feels like, so you would never want to make someone else feel like that. So I mean, yeah, I mean,
and I guess the only other point I want to make before we wrap up today, guys, is don't dismiss people's lived experiences. I'm finding a lot of that is happening lately with all types of different situations. Is we're telling you our lived experiences. We're not here, and I will block anybody or delete your comment if you try to dismiss what we're saying. Yeah. We're not here for that either. So, yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the thing is, if you do not have, I hate to say this, but if you don't have a facial difference or like any kind of difference, then you have no right to comment on what we are saying. I mean, you have a right to comment, but
you have a right to your opinion. I just don't have the mental capacity to agree with you always.
But don't tell me that I'm wrong, or that I need to change my perspective, or that it's just human nature. Like, we're not.
A quick glance is an open gawk is a choice.
Right.
And we're hoping you all learn today and that you make the right choices in the future. And we appreciate you listening and watching. And like I said, if you have any other comments or suggestions or other tasks that you want to discuss or us to discuss, please let us know by leaving a comment, coming to our Facebook page. Any and all feedback is welcome. And I don't have anything else. Yeah.
No, I just think that this is all about education, and it's about making people aware of their actions and how their actions affect others.
And
And
have lifelong consequences.
yeah, that's, that's exactly it. You can, like, I could be walking down the street and someone could stop me and say, why do you look weird? Why do you look like that? Whatever. It's happened before. So, and then, they walk away, and I guarantee you that in 10 minutes, they don't remember, like, they don't remember me, they don't remember that interaction, but that is something that will stay with me or any of us for a long time. So, and people do say, like, just ignore it, it doesn't matter, they're ignorant, they're uneducated, blah, blah, blah. But, like, that doesn't make a difference, really.
No,
It calls
doesn't help.
attention to that you're different. And when I go out, I don't want to be constantly reminded. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to live my life and not be constantly, like, reminded that I have a difference. Um, so I don't yeah, just don't do it.
Exactly.
And yeah, this is all about education and awareness. So I hope that that's
Yeah.
what people take away. So that's all.
Awesome.
That's all I have to say.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Well, yay. Well, that's our episode this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining, listening, supporting us. We appreciate it. And we hope to see you next week for another episode. And until then, hope you have a great day and a great week. Bye.
Thank you everyone for watching and for listening, and more than that, for actually getting what we're saying and taking it in. And letting us educate you. So thank you. We appreciate that. And we will see you next week. Bye.